I do believe we are live, so say indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. How you doing? How you doing? How many of you live in America? And if you do live in America, how many of you are practicing mindful breathing right now? Today's stream topic is going to be about mindfulness in part, but it's going to be, at least in my mind, a reminder to all of us that we are not separate. But there definitely is a lot of tension happening all over the world. Many people are feeling many things right now. There can, in our collective hearts, arise this feeling of disappointment, right? Not only in the election results, if you will, but also in the actual people that begot the results we now have. And it's going to definitely be a challenge. That's for sure. One that we're going to have to be extra vigilant of, mindfully navigating this experience that we call now. We are definitely living in a very interesting timeline. That is true. I find myself very frequently overthinking. That was what we talked about yesterday as a stream topic. And in this process of overthinking, I find myself wanting to solve problems, wanting the best for our species, uh, wanting to have hope in certain things. And then we face the challenges that we do, and there are all of these questions that arise in me. And then I just bring myself back to this moment. I think yesterday's teaching, or lesson, if you will, that came through is the fact that no matter what you do going forward, it's going to be fine. That's why it's so bright here. I was wondering. Yoga mat fell off, but it's fine. Yeah. It's no problem, bro. I'm vaping something else already. Yeah. Yeah. I don't exactly feel particularly motivated to be dancing, you know. I don't feel very celebratory, you know. And again, this reminder to both myself and to you friends right now, that the only thing we really have to hold on to is a certain sense of hope. This belief that things are going to change for the better as technology comes online. I believe it's inevitable, but I have definitely been challenged as of late of what I think the future is supposed to look like. I feel like I'm definitely, yes, see, like I went through a conversation just now that is challenging me a little bit. I'm thinking about the way we differ. And then in the same breath, the way we're the same. Thanks, Elon. Message attracted. Bruh, like it would be nice. I agree. It would be nice to be able to just point a finger at a single person and be like, yay, you're at fault, but we're facing right now. Uh, Hundreds of thousands of people voted, right? There are hundreds of thousands of people responsible for the decisions that are being made. Say it with me. I refuse to allow political bullshit to affect my mental health. Yeah. It's not affecting my mental health. I don't think so, at least. I would like to believe it's not affecting my mental health. I think it's just affecting my. It is engaging the part of my mind that thinks about the future and thinks about people in this future. Right? Oh, I need to restart this thing because it's low. I see that helped a little bit at least. I was pretty wrecked during the last tenure of the Yorktown. Not gonna happen again. Life is way too short. I agree, friend. Think my stream quality is looking pretty worse for wear. Let's see if I can better. I am not sure. What I do know, however, is that I don't know if my mental health, maybe we can collectively say that our mental health is not being affected by politics, but our minds are being challenged to think how politics as it is going to affect us and is going to provide new novel opportunities for us to try and solve problems. Because there definitely is a lot of collective concern in our minds as a species. I am willing to admit that much at the very least. Right? And this collective concern isn't just going to go away. We're kind of going to have to see for ourselves how things turn out going forward. And there is definitely a lot to be concerned about. Like I'm not denying that fact. I think that's the wrong take here, Mojo. Another orange presidency puts our democracy at risk. It's not an exaggeration. This is how the Roman Empire was snuffed out. It's right for us to feel scared. Yeah, and humanity continued, despite the Roman Empire falling. I know it doesn't really sound particularly exciting to imagine, America as it is coming to an end. And it probably won't be happening anytime soon. These things do happen iteratively, right? Uh, History tends to repeat itself. We're in the we're in the tough times part of the timeline, it seems. But in that way, we are being made strong by these times that we're living through. And it will be up to us to make the good times again, for our future generations, for them to try and learn from our mistakes, and hopefully they will continue to not make them. Hopefully, totally hopefully. I'm sure that it's actively happening. You know, I'm trusting that my stream quality is better. Do let me know if it's not. Oh, thinking about things, thinking about the thinkings. Oh, think. It's nice to have you here. Can we just all acknowledge that? That despite there being many different ones of us, many different ways of being, many different potential choices to make for what it is our future is going to look like, ultimately, we are going to be spending that future with one another. It's nice to have you here, right? I had this conversation with a friend today about being given the option to own everything in the world, right? If I could snap my fingers and suddenly every car, every nice beachfront property, every farm, every mountainside, everything in the planet was suddenly yours at the cost that there's nobody to share it with. would you actually want that? Would you want the world if you had nobody to share it with? And I want to say I ask myself this question a lot, but it's more a coming to the conclusion of that there are a lot of people on planet Earth, and due to the amount of people that we are, there is so much room for variability. There's so many of us that make so many different decisions, that have so many different ideas of what the future is supposed to look like. And somehow, some way, we are all coming together trying to make the most of difficult times. And for me, and this is what I keep finding, right? This is what I keep finding. This experience of being a person and being able to have a conversation with another person, being heard, feeling like you're being heard, is one that's more valuable than anything else. All right? That we are going to probably have many different systems of money, we'll have different systems of governing, we'll have different systems of work, right? The way we apply value, the way we think people are or are not valuable to us. All of that stuff will change. But ultimately, this, having conversations with people, that's going to stay. We're going to change. We're going to change how we do that, surely. You know, our medium of communication might be a little bit different in the future. But this is not going to go away, right? There is definitely this culture of impending doom that is so prevalent in all of us right now, in our species, in this worry about, you know, potential nuclear war. If it's not that, it's getting terminated. If it's not that, it's just losing your job. If it's not all of those things, it's just not knowing. Just simply not knowing what the future is going to hold. And maybe that's okay. You know, maybe just for now we can all acknowledge that it's okay to just be here as people. That all of us are trying to do the best that we can with the circumstances that we're in. All of us consider ourselves, at least most of us, consider ourselves a good person, you know, that has people that they love, that wants to do good by them, that has love for themselves, that want to do good by themselves. While at the same time, flip-flopping, right? That conversation came up today as well, is that this human experience that we are a part of has this dichotomy of acknowledging, being able to completely feel as your experience, grateful for what it is you're a part of, you know, grateful for just having a bed to sleep on, grateful for having this able body, grateful for being able to see or taste something delicious. And then in the same day, 5 minutes later, if you will, being in a complete state of destitute, right? Depressed, unwilling to acknowledge or see any value in your life or this experience that you're a part of. And then we flip-flop. Maybe that is the bipolarity of being a person, the duality of existing both as a spirit on this plane and a body at the same time, capable of making change. It's a lot of responsibility. And most of us are probably unwilling to really take full responsibility. Even me, for what it's worth, right? Taking full responsibility, couldn't, right? Specifically from the perspective of it's not just you. If you're new here, if you've never seen this face before, you can see it again, I promise. I do this every day. We do these live streaming things. Do hit subscribe. We're here or somewhere. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure. Sun King is actually a new subscriber. Hey friend, good morning, afternoon, and evening everybody. Sun King. Here we are. Things have changed, all right? The planet has now bared witness. All of us have collectively bared witness at this way of being that the earth has created for us. And at the same time, here we are on the other side, still fine for the most part. Take care of yourself, take care of those you have around you. I feel like that was something that really arose to me as a as an understanding as soon as I got here. Right now, I'm at a venue called, is it a venue? An establishment called The Joint. The Joint. It's called The Joint. It's a nice place. I know the owners. They're super friendly. I know the staff. They welcome people so beautifully. And as I get here, there's just this willingness to open up and have conversations with these people that I have come to know. And it showed me, at the very least, that despite these changes that we're now going through again, these things we've bared witness to, we still are the same people on the other side of it. We're still allowed just as much presence in this moment. Mindfulness has been a big thing in my experience. I don't always like talking about stuff like this because it does have a certain appeal or perspective that is attached to it. But I've been watching a show on Netflix recently. It's a German TV show, I'm pretty sure. And Netflix and Netflix Produksi, something like that. It's called Murder Mindfully. I think it's called Murder Mindfully. And it's basically about this accountant, no, lawyer, that works for a bunch of mafia guys. And as this lawyer, he gets encouraged to discover mindfulness by his wife. And he goes to a teacher and he learns mindfulness, or at least goes through the process of starting. And then the show proceeds to basically be a teacher. At least that's the way that I've been perceiving it. Is a teacher to you in teaching you mindfulness by showing you how this guy goes apeshit, to say it in so many words. Oh goodness, breaking every single convention. So much yikes. So much yikes. I don't think I've seen a TV show that made me go yikes so much, with the different ways of yikesiness, because there's a lot of me that resonate with that energy of mindfulness. And at the same time, this show, just in watching it, is reminding me of the importance of breath and being present for this experience that we're here for, in a way that literally studying mindfulness and watching just like mindfulness based content hasn't been able to get through to me in the same way. Beautiful setting indeed. Let me see if I can give you even more perspective. I'll move this now here. And then, yeah. Ow! Jeebs! The fuck? This stick poked my bums. Sorry you had to see that. All right. Yeah. I feel good about being present with you, friends. I feel good about the fact that we can do stuff like this on the other side as well. Impending doom is the collective foe that I feel every single one of us are fighting right now. Believing that it's over. That's the biggest thing you need to avoid. If you're gonna avoid anything, avoid this feeling of it's already over. Right? Because it's not. It's not. Hey, Maulao, you see, suddenly a friend joins us and sends me a bunch of and a oh and a ah and a and a and a ooh and a and a crystal ball and a little poop emoji and a little hearts, man. Yeah, those are a bunch of very adequate emotions. We are definitely experiencing a lot as a species right now. Having access to the internet, right? Look at us. You're probably watching this on a cell phone, having access to the internet and this device at the same time, allowing us to have conversations in a way that we were technically never supposed to, right? If we have to realistically think about this moment that we're sharing right now, yes, it's me, and there's you, and then there's us, somewhere in between having this conversation. You might not be replying in the same way you usually do, but you're still having a little bit of a mental experience, all right? Disagreement or agreement. Maybe you're asking yourself what I'm on about. Maybe you're wondering who I am, where I'm from. I'm from South Africa, if you wanted that question answered. All right. And in that way, I am literally in South Africa, potentially thousands, if not tens of thousands of kilometers away from you, thousands of miles away from you. And yet there can be a conversation had, not only between me and you and the thousands of miles in that, but you can potentially say something. Fighting your thoughts sounds, I don't know, not fun. I don't think we're encouraging the fighting of thought. I think we are, if anything, encouraging today the recognition, the acknowledgement of, despite the fact that there is differences in thought and the things that we think ought to be right or wrong, we are still united. All right, there is technically no separation. We're still on planet Earth together, and that ain't changing anytime soon. There might be some people living on the moon or on Mars in a few years from now, but even then, they'll probably still be tuning into the elections. Isn't that going to be ridiculous, right? I wonder at what point we're going to escape that echo. I think I think one thing will have to come first. My mind was going down this rabbit hole of imagining people starting to colonize space. We have like bases on the moons of Jupiter. At what point are they going to not care anymore about what's going on, with the political systems? And then my mind was like, bro, by the time we're building space bases, surely we would have moved past these old systems that we used to rely on to tell us what camp we're in. You didn't encourage. Seemed like you were just speculating. Yeah, I don't know if I'm here necessarily to have fun when I'm having conversations like this, Maulao. I do enjoy it, to say it in so many words, but it's not always enjoyable. All right. I feel like there's a certain conscious evolution. It's almost like growing. It's like growing. Growing can be painful too. It's not always fun and games. Becoming a bigger person, being the bigger person. But being the bigger person right now looks like you just being your best self. You continuing forward as this version of you that you've been. You choosing to love the people that you have in your life instead of create more separation. And you're doing that. You're doing that to the best of your ability. I trust. Because I'm trying to, and I know that you friends try to as well. You've communicated as much. I feel it's quite amazing to have conversations with people in such a wide space. It is. It is a very wide space, Sanking. And the more of us that join, the more wide that space becomes as well in a way, right? Because not only is this information being interpreted through my mind in this moment, but it's being interpreted through the minds of multiple people. And I do believe that there is some sort of progress that happens collectively when we do that. When we take the time to consider something together, progress is made. Thank you, internets. Thank you, internets, indeed. What a dear, dear pleasure the internet has been. It has had its ups and downs, I agree. Not always sunshine and rainbows, this is true. I'm gonna see if I can switch myself to all messages. Maybe I'll see more. No. I'm seeing all of them. Good. I think there used to be a duck dead here. You still here, bro? Still here? I'm going to maybe see what's going on inside this thing again. What's happening here? I ask. Mindfulness. Do you practice mindfulness? Mel, what is mindfulness? I have come to discover, at least today again, that mindfulness looks like just being here for this moment. We do a lot of thinking about the future, about our relationships, about what we ought to be doing right now or not. But we spend very little time just patiently being here right now, fully present with whatever it is you're keeping yourself busy with. Oh, goodness. I just got a grain of sand in my eyeball. And I can be fully present with the fact that it feels like ass. I don't like it. Stop. Ah, yes. Mindfulness. Man, I'm mindfuling right now. Just don't ask questions. Oh, I haven't eaten anything today. I'm kind of hungry. Woo! How about you? How about you? We don't usually talk about food, but part of my mind is definitely stuck on that. There's no electricity here right now, so I would feel bad to ask the staff to give me something. And I'm wondering how long I want to be here before I go back home. And maybe in going down that little rabbit hole of a conversation, we can think again about the way that we are ultimately united. All right. Acknowledging the non separation in something as simple as hunger. That being hungry can lead me to making a series of decisions that ends me up literally in a different space in time. Right? And in that way, these decisions that we've made as a collective species is going to do that. We are all very much affected by each other. And that can be something that's like, oh, don't tell me that, Melt. I don't want to know that I'm being affected by other people. And I get that. But at the same time, there's also value in realizing that you have influence on other people as well. Maybe not as much as you would like to, but ultimately you do. I'm wondering if kindness is something that's missing in our society right now, and I don't know if it really is necessarily. I think for the most part, when it comes to the individual person-to-person interactions, there's still a lot of kindness. My mind is doing this thing where it's like almost it's trying to understand something, and I don't know if I'm misunderstanding, but there is also at the same time this propensity for people to self-isolate, a willingness to not open themselves up to the same amount of presence with other people in the same way they used to. And the duality that I'm trying to notice right now in my own experience is how, yes, technically, people have been kind, the people that I meet. But at the same time, the amount of instances of that seems to be low and few and far between. So maybe all of us are baseline kinder, but more self-isolated because one, it can be exhausting sometimes to, exude that kindness into the world. And two, that kindness might extend into our pockets and reducing the amount of instances, the amount of opportunity for that to occur has been a part of our self-isolating story that's happening right now. And again, you can think of that from the perspective of having an economy, right? We literally live in a world right now where, at least in the way that it's set up, it costs money to drive or to go to a place, to see your friends and spend time together. Right? And the further you live apart, because again of money constraints, where you live, what job you're working, so you have to live one place or another, what place you can afford, so you have to live one place or another. and then this creating a gap between the wealth, and then you have to spend more of your wealth to be able to travel to these places of wealth because you can't afford to live there, right? It seems a little bit backwards. And I had this conversation today with Griselda about this idealistic hippie version of me that believes things ought to be free. Then as in a society of technology, right, what do we pride ourselves in? Do we pride ourselves in just making shinier and shinier toys? Is that the thing to be proud of? Or do we pride ourselves in being caretakers, custodians of our earth, of our species, of other species as well, taking care of things? And acknowledging that there is this weird acceptance that needs to be reached in our collective psyche, that there is only one way forward. And it can be disheartening, right? To experience stuff like these choices being made when it comes to our world leaders. But it's important to remind ourselves that it's not over. That this story that we're a part of is not one that has only like one chapter. It keeps going. Again, abolish impending doom. There is nothing coming for you. There's no need to prepare for some horrible inevitability. There is only so much that you can expect of yourself. And this is a strange dichotomy, right, of saying those things, because I can be wrong. I can be wrong. Maybe the challenges that you'll face will be novel, and my estimates of the statistics of what usually ends up happening in our timelines, ends up being a fluke, misaligned. Even then, I find living in a state of, I want to say no mind, right? Not thinking about that stuff. Because goodness, I cause myself so much turmoil thinking about stuff that has no bearing on my reality whatsoever. It is kind of absurd. I acknowledge that much at least. Maybe we can all collectively acknowledge that is something that exists in all of us. Backwards thinking. Jeez, it's coming straight from the gullet though. Sorry for bumping the microphone. Oh, yeah. What does forwards thinking look like? If there's backwards thinking, what does forwards thinking look like? Maybe I should stop thinking about forwards thinking and start thinking about present thinking. Wasn't I just present thinking a present ago? All right. I think I'm going to end this stream. If you're new here, do subscribe. It would be so appreciated. Watching that number go up makes my brain go dopamine. I promise, it really does. And the idea of you being here again next time makes me feel like I have more friends. Thank you for joining. I'll see you friends again. I'm gonna do a horizontal one next. See you friends in a moment. Goodbye everybody.